it's Anne-Marie, and today we are going to talk about the fertility journey seen by a man. And in a few seconds, I'll be joined by Polis. So let me present you Polis. Polis Xeneris is a mind-body performance coach. He helps people and companies recover from burnout and build back their energy and mental clarity using psychology and breath work. And back a few weeks ago, we did a first live with Polis, where we talked about the relationship we have with ourselves. And during that live and during the talk we had before and after with Polis, and I was talking to him about my work with women and couples and explain infertility and some couples also going through fertility treatments like IVF. Polis actually shared about his own journey with his wife going through IVF to have their children. And so I invited him to join me and share his story. And I'm so happy because he actually accepted to do this second live together, sharing more on that fertility side of his journey. So he's gonna join us in a few seconds. Let me see if he's here. Almost joining. This live together, sharing more on the fertility journey. So you have a bit of what is my experience with women and couples, and also hi Polis, so happy that you're here. I was introducing you and your amazing work.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. So happy to be here. So happy. I was saying that you accepted to share a bit more about your personal story and maybe show that side of the husband that is sometimes very difficult for women to understand, how it is for you going through. So I think it's going to be amazing to hear your side of the story and maybe make women understand a bit more men, which is where we're building on our last conversation, right? Which was around the relationship we have with ourselves, and we were sharing how different it is sometimes for women and men. And so it's a different prism we're on today with regards to fertility, but it's also understanding that we don't really function the same, we don't think the same, we don't react the same. And so having your view, your share of the story will be absolutely beautiful for these women as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and you are absolutely right. You rarely see conversations like this one we're having today, because it's a delicate matter, and most of the times it's a very private matter.
Yes.
And men don't often express their emotions anyhow, let alone in such a matter.
Yes, of course. There is no doubt. So that's why I was so happy that you accepted. And if you're okay, Polis, take us a bit about how did fertility treatment came into your life? You know, when was it that you understood, okay, that's the journey we're going to follow for our family?
Well, of course, my wife and I were trying to have a baby at some point. It was maybe 1 year, something after we got married. The first thing you notice is that it's the timeline for men and women is not the same. And we often hear about the woman's biological clock ticking. And although there is a lot of medical support nowadays, and women may stay pregnant in various ways much later in their lives, still, there are some things, not some things, I will say a lot of things in the meantime that women and men ignore. I will put women first because I think there's a lack of education on many areas over there. And of course, men, because it's not them giving birth. You know, it's not their biological clock ticking.
Yes.
So we don't really pay that much of attention. It's like it's women's stuff. I'm here when you need me to do my part, although I don't understand. But personally, because I like understanding things, I like to learn things. We started a year after we got married to try and have a child, and as time went by, going to my wife's doctor and getting advice, and then after we didn't succeed, let's say the first year having a child, to get some kind of support. And one thing led to another, and we felt at some point that it was like, okay, let's try this and let's try that, and if it doesn't succeed, let's try that. It's like trying to make a treatment before trying to make the diagnosis. So it was like, let's go and see. No much testing, no much, is there something wrong with my body? Is there something wrong with my wife's body? Is there something that, we need to give specific attention to?
Yeah.
So time went by, and then we said, okay, let's get another opinion. Let's try another doctor. And we changed my wife changed her doctor, whom I happened to, he was studying medicine with my cousin a long time ago. So there was a kind of familiarity with him, and we felt comfortably from the beginning. And I think that's really important.
Yes.
And then he guided us in a different manner. And through his suggestion, we tried to go with IVF in a clinic in Greece. And something that I would like to point out here is that something we didn't know, we didn't explore enough. And it's something that I urge couples to do beforehand is, this was in 2000, I'm talking about 2015, 16. So it's like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Cyprus, although we have good doctors in many areas, we don't have so much population. We don't have so much expertise in certain areas. And we later on found out that Greece is one of the top in the world regarding this matter. So a clinic in Greece, a good clinic in Greece like the one we visited, will do as many cases as the whole Cyprus was doing in a year. So, even that scale shows the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the right support, we got the right exams that we couldn't even do in Cyprus. Specialized exams, so we can get specialized assistance. And we tried the first time with no success, and we tried the second time by changing a bit the medication from the doctor, and we had our first child.
That's a beautiful story, and I think that's also a way of you sharing your story for couples that live close to where you are as well, to understand what worked with you. Amazing. Yeah. And tell me, Polis, with regards to, so I understand the steps you took, and I'm very happy that you had quite a good experience. That's what you said with regards to the doctors that you met on the way. Because, and I shared with you, I have a lot of feedback with regards to words that were said or judgments that were done around the age of the future mother, etc. That also is tainting the whole process. So I'm quite happy that you and your wife had a very good experience with regards to the clinic and the doctors as well. Tell me, like, with regards to, you know, trying for quite some time in Cyprus and then going to Greece, how was it emotionally for you specifically as the husband? Because we know that, you know, as you were saying, right, that maybe it's a bit more abstract for men. So how to deal with the emotions of something that's so abstract at first, right?
Mhm. Yeah, for me personally, to put it into context, I think the emotional state overall depends on the environment and the situations you are into your life at a certain point of time. It plays a huge role how you see things, how you perceive things, and how you deal with things. And for me, it wasn't an easy period. It was a very stressful period, business-wise, economic-wise, and there was a lot of stress and anxiety during that period. So on one hand, I was not at my best. I was not going through the best period of my life. And on the other hand, personally, I was, let's say, I was okay with it in the sense that, okay, it's going to happen. It may not happen now. It may happen in 6 months, in a year. Somehow it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen for any reason this way, it's going to happen in another way. And the other way was, of course, you know, you can always adopt. Okay. So it's an option. Maybe you don't want to think about it. Maybe you don't want to go down that road. But if you want to have children, you know, and it's not from an egoistic point of view, you know, and you want a family, it's a good option. So for me, it was like, okay, I'll follow the steps of my wife. You know, I can't go in front of this process. I have to follow. So I have to be supportive, but I have to stay, you know, I can't lead this thing because it's you cannot intervene on how your partner views this matter. Because if your partner views having birth as something like it's my dream, it's my goal, it's the way I want to have a family, you cannot block this way. You can be supportive. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to be supportive. I tried to be okay with it. And by this, it meant that I even had to do things and think in a way that I've never thought before. You know, it's new things. It's a new experience. So you try to think of how do I deal with this? There's no perfect solution, of course, but for me, it was okay. I need to be supportive. It's going to be okay one way or another. And whatever the difficulties we're going through, we're going to go through it together because it's important to keep this relationship solid no matter what happens.
That's beautiful. I'm there remembering if you said if I understood right when we spoke the other day that you said to me that this all happened also before you started like most of your self-development journey, right? So it was like also very challenging when you don't know, like already thinking like whatever the way, whatever the path I have to follow, this will happen. I just don't know how yet, right? So that was beautiful
Yeah.
that you already thought that way at that time, not knowing what was going to happen or how it was going to happen.
Yeah, looking back at it, it was probably a good way to deal with it. Again, within the context of the environment that I was in. Because if you are under a lot of stress, if some things are not going well into your life, it affects other aspects. It can affect you emotionally, can affect your relationships. And it's, I think it's where most people lose it, you know. And of course, I didn't have the awareness I have right now, or that I got a couple of years later. I didn't have this more carefree thinking, the more energy, more grounding, more whatever you want to call it. A mindset, perception, mindfulness, you name it. But I think retrospective, it was a decent way to deal with things.
Yeah, yeah, I think so as well. I think you chose something that really like opened instead of closing, right? Which is what I see a lot as well happening. And I'm quite curious as well because there's you and you're the husband and you're dealing with your whole like emotional part. And as we were saying, most of the times, I won't say all of the times, but most of the time everything that women go through is very abstract at the beginning for men, right? And so your wife also had her emotions, her own way of dealing with things, and most of the things were with regards to her, right? Throughout the process. So like what I see is that it gets tricky for couples when they've been trying for quite some time naturally and then IVF and then clinics and then the timing and then we have to count the days and then we have, see the hours and everything. And sometimes the relationship gets tricky because the communication gets difficult and because you don't want to hurt the other person, so you won't say what you're feeling. Or that's what couples tell me a lot. I'm not going to tell my wife what I'm going through because I don't want her to be preoccupied. And then the wife would tell me exactly the same thing so that the husband don't get, anxious because he can't help her. And we see this separation that start to happen. And so my curiosity here is, how did you figure out, because we all want men to have a crystal ball, but you don't,
Yeah, yeah.
but we all want you to have a crystal ball and guess what we want, what we need. How did you manage to understand what she needed, or how did you manage to be there? Like, if there are men listening to you, what
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
was, or maybe in retrospect, if you tell them, like, how did you deal with it first, and then what would you recommend men in those cases?
I would recommend that they always say yes to their wives because look, if a man has an obsession of having a son or a daughter, to feel like their family name will live forever or something like that, it's something that will mostly preoccupy the woman. Okay, so I think that all men have to do is be honestly supportive. Okay, when you go through this process, it's not the time to bring about your worst self, your thoughts and emotions that may be not contributing anything, just because you feel like to speak up about, I have another opinion. Keep it to yourself, filter it, okay, and then figure out yourself exactly what it is that you're feeling and exactly what it is that you want to communicate. And if that is contributing anything positive to the process you are going under. Because if it's not, and you just feel like speaking up or expressing another opinion, it's not going to help. It's not going to do any good. Okay. It's like picking fights, and it's not the time to fight, because there's anyhow a lot of stress, a lot of tension, a lot of what ifs, you know? So, because nobody's training you to be supportive in these situations. Nobody is telling you advices on how to feel, yourself, let alone how to understand how your partner feels. I think it's like trying to go through a minefield, and trying to be careful that you say the right thing, you show the right support. And I think it takes a lot of patience from to be so much supportive, a lot of patience, because it's a process that can take years.
Yes.
And that's not the worst thing, It's all the things between you reach the final destination. So there's a lot of patience and a lot of, I will say, evaluation of what's my priorities, what's my goal through this, because your relationship is being tested. So you see a version of your partner that you don't usually see, and they will see a version of you that they haven't seen. So who are you bringing in the table? How am I going to judge my wife, under this situation that's going to bring emotions for her, emotions for me, stress, anxiety, doubts? It's a big thing. It's a very emotional thing. So it needs a lot of patience and a lot of being self-discovery to really reevaluate what you want to achieve, what's my relationship about, where is it going.
Wow, it's quite a strong message, actually, Polis. It's and it's true. A lot of ideas were coming to mind as you were speaking, and I'm like, yeah, women in those periods, because of their hormones, because of their thoughts, their emotions, it's like they're so vulnerable in those moments. It can be very easy for things to really fall apart, at the same time that it can really create something much stronger within the couple.
Yep, definitely.
And I see how men have that structure, that they manage to structure the craziness of the process the woman needs to be in to go through all of these steps, right? So yeah, that's quite a powerful message.
Yeah, and in my case, it wasn't just my wife going under this process. I was going under this process. And I think this is something a lot of men need to understand, that this involves men. It involves you. You are part of the process. You may be part of the problem. You may be part of the solution. Okay, sometimes it's on your hand. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's you who needs treatment. You never know, who's having some issues.
Yes.
So I will say, don't take it lightly and don't take it too heavily, because I had to do some tests. We had to see, is it me? Is it her? Is it both? Is it something else? And all the things in between, all the process, all the agony, all the tests, all the things you need to do until you find, a solution or a dead end. It's these things in between that make you or break you, because it's usually one test after the other. It rarely, from what I know, you know more, of course, you rarely find success quickly and easily.
Yes, and you were quite lucky actually to straight away when you found that clinic in Greece, everything looked like it was going a lot easily in that sense. But it's true that sometimes couples have to go through several rounds and it can take very long, as you were saying. Yeah, it really depends on
Yeah,
the experience of each. Yeah.
yeah, but anyhow, I mean, if we got that information well ahead, it would have saved us like 1.5 years maybe,
Yes.
and tons of money, you know. And it's not the money, it's, going through, okay, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's do that. And, all the ways in between don't work
Yes.
until you start, asking more questions, asking the right questions to get the answers you want so you can find the right solution for you, which is totally different from the guy, the couple next door.
Yeah. And Polis, looking at the relationship, as you were saying, right? It's something that both of you were going through. The couple is going in different ways, right? But at the same time, how do you feel this whole process affected one way or another, right? More challenging or more positive? How do you think this impacted your relationship as a whole?
I think that, at least in my case, it strengthened it. Of course, the outcome was positive. But when you step into this process, if you step into it with, okay, I'm going to do what I have to do, and I'm going to be there and I'm going to be supportive, and I care more about the relationship than the outcome of having a child. You go through some strong emotions and things with your partner that will only strengthen the relationship if you wish to do so, because for example, when you do the tests, you need to be there to support. You need to do the tests, you show you care, you're sensitive. You go to the doctor, you go with your partner, you ask questions, because for me, I told you, I like to know things. So I was asking questions. When we had to make the injections, I was doing the injections to my wife, that was, I was fine with it, but that's just me. Somebody else may, cannot comprehend that every day or every other day I'm going to inject my wife on the belly with this serum. And, it's too much for some people, and I get it. But being there all the time, I think it shows a lot. And I will say this to women. I don't care if their men don't like what I have to say. If he's not there, if he's not supporting you in a good way, if he's not showing signs they care, well, that's a big hint about where things are going. So ask yourself this question. I mean, and it's a valid question, and probably my wife has thought that question. I don't know. Is this the man that I want to be with when things are difficult? It's a valid question, and I think many women ask themselves this question.
It's usually on this tops experience, right? And I see that. I see what you're saying, Polis. As you know, I didn't go through IVF, but I went through loss with my husband. And it's true that in these moments that we actually ask these questions, right? Is it the right person to help me through these experiences. And it's true that this, I've seen many couples that this showed something was not working correctly, or it really created a very, very strong bond between them through everything they went through. So yeah, I think it's also not only asking ourselves the question, but really like have this again, a new certainty that you're with the right person, whatever comes, whatever happens or not, that you're with the right person. And I think just having, just being able to answer that question, again, I was saying, you know, I told you what I see in women is that closing of the body, that protection, that fear. If I have a fear around or not questioning around the person I'm with, then my body won't be able to open so easily, right? And when you want a baby, you want to be able to receive and to be open and to be in trust and faith that you're in the right place in the right time. So this that you're saying, that really feeling at ease in the relationship, and maybe you sharing that, just helping men understand, okay, my wife is expecting me to do this or do that, or just be there. Maybe just the fact of being there and holding her hand, maybe, you know, maybe you don't have to do the injection because you're not feeling at ease with it, but it's just holding her hand and being there. Maybe just that helps the body open a bit more, right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Because if you are not there, if you're not supporting, I mean, then what is it all about? And
Yeah,
it's another stressor for the woman. So it's not helping at all.
it's true. It's really good that you're sharing that, because actually that's comprehensive as well. That's not, you know, adding a new way of the body closing and being in protection that will help through IVF, right?
Yeah, and again, if I go back to the environment thing, I mean, being in a situation that was so stressful for both of us, mostly for me. Not only that, but also my wife was going through menopause, early stages, you know, pre-menopause, which made her, let's say, her ovaries were getting old and she was not producing a lot of them. So it was getting more difficult to have a child the traditional way, but we found out that later on. It's the exam part I told you about. And for men, going through my exams, I saw, I mean, through going through this process, that the less stress I had, the better my environment was getting, that my exams were better as well.
Wow.
So being in a better state, changing your environment, your stress and anxiety, the uncertainty, it does play a significant role. Okay, so everything is important. The environment is important. The stress you go under way is important. But some things doctors will not tell you. Some things they don't consider them. You know, it's not part of the normal thing. Although doctors say and talk about stress, it may not show up in the exams.
And how did you find out? How did you actually find out that being in less stress had a positive impact? I'm curious.
It was the some of the exams, you know, for men they count the movement of the sperm.
Yes, yes. Just
Okay.
to understand, like, were you on holiday just before and you understood that because you were relaxed that happened? Just to understand.
No, because this process took like we got married in 2014. So we started, let's say, 2015, and then we stayed pregnant in early 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 2-year process until my wife stayed pregnant. Some things started improving. Okay. And I was better. I was not in the same situation in 2017 as I was in 2015 or 14. So I was not yet at my best, but some things were getting better. So going through the same examination year by year, I was seeing that from the point of being with the lower percentages of movement, let's say, going higher and higher into percentages that was fine within the normal parameters. So what was it? I mean, what changed? The only thing that changed was how I was feeling, how I was dealing with things, which is, a doctor will say, okay, we have a problem here, and we're going to deal with it in a different way. But I have to say that when we went in Greece, and we had the final, I had my exam over there, the final one I had. It was much better than the ones I did in Cyprus, because things started changing. But the doctor said, doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. So it was also a totally different view from the doctor. When you have more expertise, more know-how, you can see things in a different way, and you know more what you are talking about. So sometimes there's a lack of knowledge and expertise from not just the doctor. I'm not blaming any doctors here. So I'm just saying that if you don't have the right person to support you, either it's the doctor or it's another expert in another field, maybe they will let you feel less. They will let you feel down. They will give you a limit of where you can go.
Yeah.
But somebody with more expertise, more know-how, will give you more knowledge, another understanding, and maybe your limit is not, and your capability is not here. Maybe it's here. And that gives you more hope, more positive outlook that things will work out.
Yeah.
At the end.
I think it's very important what you're sharing, because I see, I work with hypnosis, right? And a lot of my clients, when we work, they go back to an appointment with a doctor. And sometimes they go back to an appointment with a doctor when they were a kid. And it's like we've been told and taught that what the doctor says is 100% true, because he knows, because he studied, because you never think that whatever the doctor says, he might be wrong. And so we grow up like this, and a lot of women, they go to an appointment, and maybe it was a bit said to her because of the age or because of the numbers or whatever. It's going to be very difficult for you to get pregnant. Sometimes it's enough to be imprinted within her. And she's going to struggle because of just that thing that she heard, because the doctor is always right, because I can't not think otherwise than the doctor has told me, because it's what we've been told since we're very, very young. What you were saying, right? Of course, it's the knowledge, the experience, the expertise and everything, but a lot of the times it's the communication. Despite of your numbers, despite of your motility or whatever the sperm looks like, every day we have counter examples of women that have very, very low numbers and they still get pregnant. Men that have very, very low numbers and they still get women pregnant. So it's like there's also a lot of communication that needs to change, and that needs to be not limiting so much, because we take this to the letter, because since we were very young, we never question questioned anything a doctor would say, right? And I see
Yeah,
that a lot
yeah.
happening.
And for people who don't know me, I'm gonna take it a step further. I told you so that we had when we started discussing about having a second child, and the doctor said, you know, if you want to have a second child, come back. Time is running out. You are not getting any younger. And we started discussing about it. And then we stayed pregnant the normal way, the usual way. And we had our lovely daughter. And the doctor was like, what happened? It was like
How did you do it?
no, he said it was 1 in a million staying pregnant on your own. But, you know, we did. And it's a reality for many couples that I know of that went under the same thing and then they stayed pregnant, let's say, the usual way. And it shows that there are things, there are forces that we are not aware of. And I totally agree with you. Open up your mind, open up your perception. There are things that we cannot comprehend. There are things that are possible, and we just don't know how. And you just need to have more faith.
Yeah. And I'm going to give you another example that I don't know if you know of. And it shows it as well. It proves it, actually. And so I've been told that when couples actually are in an adoption process, they actually ask the mother to be on the pill before, like the 6 months before.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that, and it has been studied, it's like a lot of the times they would get pregnant naturally during the adoption process. And you ask why? And it's like, okay, it's like the mind and the body are like, okay, you're getting ready, you're buying all the things, you're getting the room ready in your house. It's okay, that's the moment. And that's what they understood. And people would be on the adoption process and get pregnant at the same time. And now couples have actually to protect themselves, and women have to be on the pill to go through the process. And that's where you understand that the mindset part and the really believing on the inside that it's happening actually makes something that hasn't happened for years before happen.
Yeah.
And I've seen that in clients of mine as well, going through IVF and getting pregnant, and a couple of years later getting pregnant naturally, as if okay, now, you know, it's easy now. I've done it once. Why can't I do it again? And like for the body, it gets natural. And I've seen the contrary as well. I've seen women getting pregnant very easily the first time, and because of whatever reason, then there is secondary infertility sometimes happening. So there's a lot that's really down to the emotion that we feel and how our body reacts to that. So a lot to study around that and understand.
Yeah, I had a similar experience when I was trying to start teaching at the university. And I thought I had tried everything. And just the moment when I gave up and said, okay, it's not going to happen, maybe a couple of months later, I got an invitation to teach at the first university I taught back in 2019. And I think when you try your best and you reach a point where there's nothing more you can do on your own, and you let go, believing that it's not going to happen, I think that's when the miracles happen. That's the moment for everybody that the miracle is going to happen because you've tried your best. Maybe it wasn't the moment, maybe it wasn't the right time for you, maybe you had other things to clear out, maybe whatever. But when you think it's not going to happen, that's when miracles happen. And it's so beautiful. And I wish all people will keep the faith, because it's not always what we want and when we want it, but things do happen somehow, some way. Maybe it's something we never thought about. Maybe it's someone can help us other than the people that we have around us. You never know where from it's going to happen, but it can happen.
Yeah, I think faith is really, really part of the process. And Polis, like thinking of a couple that might be watching us or watching us on the replay once we publish it, what would you say to the husband that's, starting this IVF journey or whatever treatment that couple is going through? What would you tell the husband?
Well, I know it's a private matter for every couple, but from my experience, what I will say is the most important thing is to try and find the right person to help you through the process. Try and find the right doctor, the right psychologist, the right expert, whoever that might be in your journey. Don't treat it lightly, because if I can advise somebody on something, is to try and save them time and agony and stress. I know couples that underwent a lot more years and a lot more stress than we did. But even in our case, it was like 2-something years of trial and error.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I mean, try and find the right people to support you through this process. There are amazing people out there. There are people like yourself who are doing, so much work. And it's a pity for people to stay on one track, so many avenues to go to the same destination. So my number one advice would be try as soon as possible to get advices, visit experts, choose the ones that resonate with you, the ones that you believe are the best in your case to assist you. Don't settle for mediocre, because you need all the help you can get through this process. And if you are in safe hands, the experience is much smoother and it's going to happen faster. And the second thing is be cool with it. Don't stress too much about it. And have faith, because one way or another, things will happen. It may be not be when you want it. It may be not the way you want it, but it's going to happen. And in case you are not able to have a child on your own, ever, you can always adopt. If your goal is to have a family and give love, it's a great way to do it. So why not?
And maybe focusing on the couple, as you were saying, right? First the couple, first the communication with the person you're with, and making it that the priority, right? Before anything else.
Yeah, because the whole experience of finding the right people to support you, it's gonna advise the couple. And, it didn't happen to me. That's what I'm talking about it.
Yes.
It's going to help the couple to deal with this process as one.
Yeah.
And because it breaks a lot of couples, because they go on their own, they don't have that support, they don't have that expert advising them. It's not the job of the doctor, of the gynecologist to do it, but somebody has to do it. And somebody needs to be in that role to assist the couple with how they deal about things, how they deal with their emotions, how they communicate through this process, how supportive each one has to be to the other party, especially meant to their wife. So find those people. Don't settle for mediocre, because that supportive environment, those experts, are going to make the process much smoother. And it's going to help you deal things in the best possible way.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. Also, you looking back and understanding what may have made it better, right, throughout the process.
Of course, because it's your struggle, and you feel you go through it alone, you and your partner, or sometimes totally alone, and nobody can understand you. But what if you have somebody with a similar experience? You know, like somebody may watch this video and see, we are going through this process. Why feel bad about asking help? Maybe I haven't thought of it. Nobody told me so.
Yes.
It's not in the system. So
yes, it's not in the system. Yeah, we have to change that, Polis.
yeah.
And also on your experience, and I know you don't have a crystal ball yet, right? But what would you say to the wives? What would you say to the women that might be going through that as well? What would you advise them with your views as a husband? Maybe you would have like your wife to talk more to you about what she needed. Just tell them like what is the husband waiting from them?
Talking from the position I am now and being more aware of many things, I will go back to what my wife's experience was. And I will say to women, there are so many things going on in your body that being fixated on an idea of how your life is going to be, because I know how women like to plan things a lot more than men. Most of the times it's not going to work as you wish to, because you want to work for 10, 15 years to go high up in the hierarchy in your job. And you want to buy a nice flat and a car. And you want to find perfect partner. You don't want to get married young. And you feel, yeah, I can have children when I'm 40 or whatever. Things don't work always as we wish them. Your body may not be at its best at that point. Maybe if you have the right people around you, the right doctors, the right mindset, you read the right books, you advise the right people, you follow them on social media and learn new things, you might start taking care of your mind and body a lot better and see things differently. Because if my wife knew that her ovaries were getting old and it would be so much difficult to have children, because she was 36 when we had 35 when we had our son, almost 36, she would have chosen a different path, but she didn't know about the premenopause. She didn't have the right exams in Cyprus to go and do it. She never thought about it. And she's a workaholic, So don't assume anything. Don't assume things will go perfectly as you plan them, because I know women want to do everything and they want to do everything perfect. don't stress yourself that much. And because you might regret it, because things will may get more difficult. So find people around you to support you, find experts, don't be fixated on an idea. Find a person that can support you all the way, test your man, for difficult things, to see if they are the right partner to be there for you. And don't give them a hard time because they are not as strong as you are.
I love this. Women are strong, aren't they?
Yeah, they are giving birth after all. I mean, we are going nowhere near that, so a lot of respect.
That's beautiful. I think that's it. There's a lot of communication that needs to be kept, right? Nobody has a crystal ball. You can't just guess what we're going through, thinking, or how we're going, how we're doing emotionally and with all the process and everything. And it's also, we can't expect also that you feel the same thing because you're not, that you're, like, everything is so different if we don't communicate and if we don't find maybe somebody external to help us communicate or help us understand, what we're thinking or what we're feeling. And it's very easy to go to that route or feeling like we're alone, right? We're together, but we're alone. And I hear many women telling me that. I feel like I'm completely lonely in the process. So.
Yeah, because as you said earlier, women tend to be a lot more emotional. Hormones are going up and down, and it's something that men can't comprehend. And I think that's where a man needs to be the voice of logic and support. But logic has to be with sensitivity, and understanding, showing empathy. Because that's the way to communicate with your wife at that stage. It's showing empathy, try to understand, even if you don't understand, try to, show that you try, and try to convey logic with more emotion so that it's understood. Because if you have two extremes, you need to go in the middle to find the middle ground. You can't communicate, even if you feel you are right, you can't communicate it if you are on the one end and your partner is on the other.
Yes.
The message is not being heard, it's not being even transferred. So that's a key, especially for men, that's a key.
Amazing. I want to thank you so much, Polis, for being here with me today, sharing your story, sharing your tips, your advice, and looking back what you see that may help couples, women and men, on this journey that's similar to the ones you went through a few years ago, with a nice and positive outlook on your whole story. So thank you very much for being here with me today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's the first time I'm talking on a wider audience about these things. The only thing I've done is to advise people who are very close to me and have been through this process, but with very little information, to be honest, because it's this sensitivity barrier that I don't want to cross. But I think that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. It's a beautiful outcome at the end of the tunnel, either or, because even if you don't get to have a child through IVF, it might help you have a strength relationship with your partner. It solidifies it. and that could be a huge gain as well.
That's beautiful. And thank you for opening up today to a wider audience and helping other couples through your own story. I think that's beautiful. Everything that we go through is also for us to help others in a way. So that's the proof today as well. Thank you so much, Polis.
Thank you as well.
And speak to you soon. I know we always have a lot to speak about, so who knows what will be next.
I don't know yet, but we'll talk about it.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. I haven't seen, I don't know, my screen isn't showing up who's on or comments or anything. So I will just have a look after we finish the live with Polis to see if there is anything we need to answer. And thank you very much. And speak to you very soon, Polis.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.